windy and there's some traffic down here because I'm on a highway. Well, I'm above a highway on a cliff, but it is a little loud, so I'll try to talk extra loud because I'm the only person up here, so nobody can think I'm too crazy. Well, that's a lie. I'm sure they could. But I'm at one of the coolest centers of the Missoula floods. In fact, having traveled through most of the scablands this week, this is by far one of the coolest spots, if not the coolest spot, because of the history of this area with the Missoula flood. So I'm at Wallula Gap, and there's a really famous marker here. These are the twin sisters. They have some Native American lore. They're actually part of a triplet, and the third sister has been turned into a cave. I don't actually know if she's downstream or upstream, but she's part of the Native American lore here. But basically, this area is so incredible, and you'll see it on the map, because, so this hundreds of thousands of gallons of water, of tons of water, was barreling down all of eastern Washington, right? And it was converging into this location here. This is where all of that water converged. And there's so the next spot that I'll show you, there's historical landmarks to prove it. Basically, it didn't really try to traverse around this area. Every single flood that we had, and there was over 150 floods, we believe, every single flood came through this area, through the Wallula Gap. And it's famous in the geology world because, okay, from my vantage, yes, it's incredibly big and wide. This is the Columbia River, but it's incredibly narrow for the vast amount of water that was pummeling through this area. So basically, there are a couple things to look at here. This is southern Washington, and I don't know, can I put my finger here? There's a little town here, I don't know if you can see it, that's Pasco. And it's very flat here. It's incredibly flat here. The topography is smooth. I mean, it's got hills, but in terms of the vast sheer amount of water that was funneling through this area, all of a sudden it comes from relatively steep terrain in the upper scablands. I mean, I say that it's not like mountainous steep, but it's steeper, and so that water could funnel even faster down that area, and then it becomes very smooth and very flat here. So it's already moving relatively slower than it was much north, and then it hits this gap, and this gap is so small. Imagine a funnel, right? You're pouring all of this water into a large space, and it has a tiny, tiny little area to spit out, basically. So all of this water, this hundreds of millions of tons of water, comes funneling into this gap, meaning that the water back here gets incredibly backed up, it slows down, it forms a massive lake over this area that is now Walla and Pasco. And the next area that I will stop at, hopefully, if it's not illegal, is these layers of silt and sand and clays, basically, because the water slowed down so dramatically. All of this sediment was able to deposit in these lands, and that sediment is also called loess. It's just very fine, nutrient-rich material is what makes this area so fertile. So Walla Walla is very famous for its wines. This whole area is very prominent with its agriculture. I drove through hundreds of wheat fields yesterday, cornfields. There's a lot of agriculture here because this land is so fertile, because of these floods that backed up here in the Wallula Gap, which is, it's so crazy to look at this here and be like, this is kind of where it all converged. And down here is the canyon that it continued to carve out, but this is now the start of the Columbia River Gorge. So if you go down further this way, that's where you hit Missoula, and eventually you get to Portland as you move down the Columbia River. But this is where the Columbia River Gorge begins, basically, and it all was carved out from the floods that came through this tiny little inlet. It's so crazy. It's so wild. It's not that big. Oh, I just wanted to come right this way. I mean, look at how small it is. And my other theory is that because if you've gotten to the river unit yet of my class, I think, and I'll have to look at a map here, but I can already tell that this side of the river is on a cut bank side. Meaning that this side, the one that I'm on here, has experienced significant more erosion than that side, which is why I think this side is a little bit less steep, a little less cliffy, but we have all of these eroded materials up this high. We have some stacks here. The twin sisters, of course, are a stack left behind. And yes, we have some material that looks a little less eroded, but over here seems significantly more eroded than that side. And I believe that it's because the water's hit this side and sort of swooshed on this side of the canyon before it made its way down the Columbia River Gorge. And now it is a highway.